Oh man, mine was not like that. It was definitely an election party, but it was interesting. That was interesting with those folks. I did remember, I saw an article maybe like a year or two ago, how they restarted, like, what was it, like the Republican Club at Howard?
Oh, I'm sure that they probably did, but I wasn't there for that.
I was like, you probably weren't there, but it was just like, it's so interesting. You never think about the other side, obviously, because Howard, you have such a diverse group of Black and brown and all types of people on campus, that I think sometimes we forget that, you know, we have so many differences of opinion and so many walks of life. It's just so interesting to see them all kind of
definitely a mixing pot of people. Oftentimes, people will say that people will criticize Howard for being homogenous, but in reality, if you wouldn't actually know that unless you attended, that there are many, many vastly different characters and kinds of people and walks of life at Howard University and other HBCUs.
I believe it. I believe it. So tell us, what are some of your short-term goals right now?
I want to graduate. I want to get my PhD. That's what I'd like to do. My next goal after the PhD is to jump into science policy through specific fellowship programs. But my other short-term goal is to get more involved with the United Nations. So I would say that I'm fairly involved, but I'd like to have a more concrete position in my capacity as the director of my organization.
Got it. Well, definitely praying for that.
Thank you.
What about any long-term goals you want to share?
Yeah, I'd like to influence the international stage. I would like to definitely spearhead how we're going to be dealing with hunger in the face of climate change. My dream job is to head the United Nations science education department. So they handle a lot of the kind of public work and kind of educating the public on what's going on. And I definitely see a connection between my science communication skills and my dissertation and just who I am. I think that would definitely suit me. If not that, in some capacity, a national kind of position, perhaps commissioner of the EPA, science technology cabinet to the president, something like that. That's the dream.
Just something, something slight. I mean,
that's the goal.
No, definitely. Wow. Great. Sorry. So how long is it going to take for this PhD? Like, how long is
so I'm a fourth year now.
PhD programs are like 7
years.
So
yeah, some of them do take 7 years. So here, in my program, they try and get you out in 5, but it's advertised as 5 to 6. Most people take a little longer than 5 years to complete it. So I'm in my 4th year, and I went straight out of undergrad. So it's not gonna. Basically, once I'm done, I'm done.
I hear you. My master's took 3 years. So I totally understand. It's over. So for students, it's especially difficult to grasp the concept of a goal, right? And how to go about realistically creating them. So how do you go about creating your goals? Like, what's the process you go through in your mind to ensure that your goals are achievable, that they really are realistic? You know what I mean? How do you do that for yourself?
Typically, the goals that I've created have come from patterns that I've noticed within myself. And then they manifest in kind of an exploration of like, well, how can I use this skill in a way that is most advantageous for the greater good? So typically I'll speak to a lot of people so this is very unique to like an academics perspective. So if you're in an undergrad institution or as a graduate student, typically I'll explore different kinds of questions I have with other people at the university who are specialists in the area, kind of ask them, what are the latest ideas and what are the biggest hot topics that are happening right now, and how can I get myself involved? Figuring out if there are projects that I can begin. So I also feel like a lot of the time when I'm talking to people about things that I do or other things that other people I know do, they'll mention things that they're doing, but kind of like a certain fear of like being greater than what they are. For example, like I guess the point of what I'm saying is just to believe in yourself. Like a lot of people, when I say people, I mean white men specifically. They go after a lot of things because there aren't really any barriers for them in terms of climbing the social ladder or climbing the economic ladder. And I think that the Black and brown people that I surround myself with oftentimes shortchange themselves instead of going after the things that they could just to apply, just to see what will happen. And oftentimes, more often than not, you'll succeed more than you will fail. I think that a lot of the time, your biggest enemy is yourself, and you don't stop your blessings. Yeah, don't just go after whatever you want. You want to go to Princeton, go to Princeton. You want to be president of the United States, be president of the United States.
Period. For the most part. So what has been the most rewarding or life-changing moment you've had thus far?
I
know, heavy question.
Yeah, that is a heavy question. I definitely think when I first came to this university. So as you can imagine, the transition between Howard University in Washington, D.C. to a graduate program in the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor, the demographics are starkly contrasted. The culture was a shock, and just the program. It was really a different. It's a different world. And I think once I successfully got past like the first few years of being here, and past, so I guess I should back up. There's a very large examination that you have to take as a PhD student, and it's usually called a comprehensive exam or a preliminary exam. And during this exam, in your respective department, you have a committee of people that are supposed to help you finish your dissertation. But before they can do that, you have to prove that you're good enough to be there, basically. So that process will usually include a presentation to the department, a proposal at length, so maybe 20 pages, 10 pages. And then for 3 hours, you have to sit in a room with your committee members and successfully answer any question that they have at all about your topic. This is not specific to your proposal. This is anything in the field. You have to successfully answer any question they come up with.
For 3 hours.
For 3 hours. For 3 hours. And
Okay.
so, as you can imagine, it is very, very stressful. I did not know if I could get through it. And yeah, I think that was, once I passed that exam, I was like, I can do anything.
Mm.
I felt empowered. I felt like, kind of connecting to the goal answer I gave before. You realize that, like, there is no there, not that there aren't any barriers, but the barriers don't matter in terms of your motivation. Like, your motivation should remain constant regardless.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow. I'm still hours. I was
Yeah,
like, anything in my field? Oh my God. I,
anything.
I don't know. I don't know where I think I would lose it. So then tell us, what's your funniest experience, I guess?
Mm, mm. Experience within the context of,
Within the context of, your life changing from, from high school to
oh,
college to grad
okay.
school.
Funniest experience. Um, I would probably say just the people that remain constant throughout your life. So at Howard, we have, oh
Mm.
my God, you make me excited. So at Howard, we have this thing called homecoming. And it is like, yeah,
Yes.
and it is just, it reminds you of like all of the things that you went through and kind of like how you've grown. And it's always a great, funny time coming back and realizing that, like, I came from this. Like, this is what created me, and I am now moving through life with ease. And I'm so happy that I had an experience at Howard University. I would say that's probably the funniest experience. It happens every year, not this year, but it's definitely a repeating thing.
So, I mean, I know this is no shade, but I know this is definitely no competition, but I have to ask,
Yeah, yeah.
just do it. So, like, Howard University homecoming or University of
That's
Michigan
not even the same
homecoming?
universe. It's not the same universe at all. That's like,
I know.
yeah,
I just had to ask.
it's
Just
not the same thing. It's
it's
no.
exactly,
They're
exactly.
they it's not enough spirit. It's not the same kind of motivations to come. It feels much more familial at Howard. And
Like a
um
family reunion.
yeah, and uh even the atmosphere is different here. There's many more people also at the University of Michigan, thousands and thousands. I think like 60,000 undergrads, and so that's like a lot. um but for many reasons, it's very different. The population, the demographic, the location. Washington, D.C. is an awesome location to have an HBCU. And just the reason that you're celebrating is different.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So, if you could recommend any books for our readers, what would it be and why?
Yeah, I would recommend a book called Weapons of Math Destruction. So this is a book on data science. I remember her last name. It's O'Reilly. I can't. Her first name is blanking for me. I think it's Amy or something. Um, but I recommend this book to a lot of people, mainly because so this is maybe a personal fear of mine, but data science is rapidly changing. AI,
Mm.
artificial intelligence, is definitely going to be the premier kind of technology that's used in the future. And what her book does is she goes through these different kinds of uh, pieces of technology that are used today and how they are used to discriminate against people of color and different kinds of minorities.
Wow.
And so she explains how the creators of this technology, most often white men, white cis men, they create, like, for example, face recognition technology. It's hotly debated if you can use it in terms of like identifying criminals, and if you should use it in public, or how to use this technology. And I think it's important to think about, because I think a lot of people don't really think about it and kind of move along with like, oh, I have a new iPhone 11, or oh, like I have this like Ring doorbell that can see everybody that comes to my house. And I think this sort of surveillance kind of society is very important to pay attention to. So yeah, that would be the first book that I think people should read. I'm trying to think of another one that might have to do with science communication. Astrophysics for People in a Hurry. That's a pleasant book that I think people should read. So Neil deGrasse Tyson wrote that one as well. It's very short. You could read it in a day, but I think it speaks to this main theme that I have about kind of like everything being accessible to you. And so he explains like astrophysics in this very like digestible way that I think people would really enjoy and kind of open their eyes and be more exploratory to STEM and not as afraid and things like that.
Oh, now that sounds good. Like that sounds like a really good book I want to try and pick up. So Alexa, if you could leave us with any personal quotes, what would it be? Like something you would potentially like to be remembered by, I guess, with the quote.
With quotes.
No, that's huge. I'm sorry,
nothing will ever be accessible if you do not try. You have to put yourself out there, period, and don't let your motivations be squandered by some sort of inner voice that you have in your mind. Yeah, I think I'm still standing by that theme of like, you should not be intimidated to be great.
That's a word, Alexa. That is on this in this, I guess, in this time right now. That's huge. I think a lot
anything. Imposter syndrome. Oh my God! All you had to do was look at the last debate between Donald Trump and Joe Biden to realize that like you can do anything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, unfortunately, that is all the time we have today. But thank you so much, Alexa, for sharing your knowledge, your passion, your expertise with our viewers. But before we go, we have a quick game.
Okay, that's fun.
Debate. This is called. So it's called the debate game. Debate surrounds us, literally down to the ads we see on a daily basis. So we are going to show you 3 different ads, and you will give us your interpretation of what argument is being made in each, what narrative and products are being sold, and what visual cues you are using to identify them.
So let me repeat that back to you. I'm going to be shown 3 images,
gotcha,
and I will have to speak on what I think they're trying to advertise to me and specify why. Okay.
Yeah. So we're going to go to the first image of the iPhone.
Yes. You are trying to get me to submit to capitalism. Definitely, I think that they picked this white iPhone because it contrasts this black background. Privacy, that's iPhone. The Apple is iconic at this point. They definitely have not monopolized phone sales, but they've definitely made a big difference. and then privacy, that's iPhone. I kind of find that a little bit confusing. Privacy, that's iPhone. I don't really understand. I don't think it matters though, because that's not the first thing I noticed. Yeah, I think they're just trying to sell you an iPhone. Submit to the capital society.
At this point.
Yeah.
I agree. Privacy. I was like, are you?
Yeah.
Okay. Sure. Exactly. So the next picture, my my auntie, Kerry Washington, of course.
Yes, definitely gorgeous woman sitting on top of this watch that I guess my eye first, they're definitely trying to get you to buy this watch, but I think that the allure and kind of like the connection to scandal and this woman that you've seen all over TV is supposed to attract you to thinking that there's some sort of value to this watch. It is encrusted with diamonds and makes you seem as though you are affluent. And she's wearing white against red. So red is definitely a color that's supposed to bring power and attraction, and then white is supposed to mean purity. I think that, yeah, they're trying to get you to buy this watch because the woman that you recognize from television and all of these kind of like high profile roles that she plays is wearing one and is right behind it.
Yeah, it's definitely giving me very much Olivia Pope. It's handled, you know,
right.
It's handled. This watch. That's what it's definitely giving me, for sure.
Exactly.
Okay. And the last one, the Lamborghini.
Yeah, so the first thing that pops into my mind is kind of like how sports cars sound, but I'm pretty sure that they're trying to advertise for what the sound system inside of the car would be like. It's going really fast. Everything is blurred out. That's not the car. This cool vibe. It's like a sunset. And then they have all of the decorative sound waves around it that make it seem kind of like techie and worth your time. Yeah, kind of like, I think it sums up in, I'm driving this fast car and blasting music, and a lot of attention will be on you if you buy this car.
Cool. Sounds good. Well, Alexa, you know, it is officially, this is all we have time for today. And hey, everybody watching the Newark Debater, if you agree with, let us know. Do you agree with Alexa's interpretations? If not, disagree. Hey, it's the fun part of debate. Let us know. Talk to us. Feel free to email us at the Newark Debater at gmail.com. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you've enjoyed what you saw today. We definitely appreciate all of your support, and we'll see you guys next time. And thank you so much for tuning in. And thank you, Alexa, for allowing this opportunity to talk to you and to get to know you again.
Thank you.
Bye. Now, if you want to learn how to use your voice more, I know what I'm doing. 1 second.